Hi there and welcome to this video in the IBM Cloud Foundation Skills Series. In this video is going to be a lab. It's called Your Account First 60 Minutes. So what we're actually going to do is kind of do some of the things that you would really be expected to do in the first 60 minutes of actually owning your IBM account. So the things that we're typically going to be doing is changing the default resource group name. We're going to change the default organization name. We're going to look at adding spaces. We're going to look at upgrading the account. So if you've actually got this is assuming you've actually got a Lite account at the moment. We're going to show you how to upgrade the account from a Lite account to a PAYGO account. What we're then going to do is set up IAM for the rules project. So we're going to create these resource groups. And we're also going to set up Cloud Foundry for the rules project as well. So creating an organisation and some spaces to support the rules project. We're then going to invite the first users to the account so they can actually come and create services and actually start developing applications. We're going to create an access group and then assign a user to that access group, as well as some privileges. And last of all, we're going to check out some of the billing screens because they're always something that's quite useful to get used to, so that you can actually see what costs you're incurring, and just keep an eye on those as well. So the URL that we're going to be doing this all from is cloud.ibm.com. So I'm just going to open up my browser, navigate to that address, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so here I am in my account. I'm at cloud.ibm.com. So this is my dashboard, and this is the jumping in point really whenever you log in. So you'll see this whenever you log in. So very quick rundown of the panels. Got a resource summary here. So whenever you create a new resource, you'll see it pop up in here, and we'll see that a bit later on when I've created some. Here's quite a good panel. So is any upcoming maintenance that's going on in the cloud, then you can have a look at this list and click on one of these links for further details, see if they affect you or not. This panel here gives you a quick update on the statuses of each locations. So at the moment you can see there's the status is all green and clear in each of the regions, and if there's a problem, then you'd see a different status button here. You can see the apps that you've started to create or you've created, and they'll appear in this box here. Any support cases that you've opened will appear in this box here. You can get a bit of a snapshot of your billing and your usage in this particular box here, and then here you'll see a list of your users. And this particular panel here is quite useful as well, because here you'll see some links to learning that you might be interested in as well, sort of help you get started or if you get stuck. Some other quick links along here. So we've got the catalogue, which we'll show you in a minute. Docs is really useful, so if you want to know how a particular service works or you need the documentation for it, click on Docs and you'll be able to search for it in there. If you want to raise a support ticket, then click on Support. And so this is about managing your account. We're going to go there in a minute. So to get back to this screen at any time, all you need to do is click here on IBM Cloud, and as you can see, it just refreshes the page. It will always come back to the dashboard whenever you click IBM Cloud. Right, okay, so let's get on then. Let's go and let's click Manage, and then let's click Account. So from here you can start to see what resource groups you've got created, your Cloud Foundry organisation. So we'll go and have a look at that first. So let's click on this panel here for resource groups, and as you can see, the first resource group that's been created within your account is default, and it will always be called default. That's really there to get you running. Now there's various actions. So if you click on these three dots here, there's various actions you can do on here. You can add resources to the resource group, and that will actually take you to the catalogue. You can then manage access. That's providing users access to the resource group, and I'll show you that later. And you can also rename the resource group as well. So if you don't want your resource group to be called default, then you might want to rename that to something else. And that's pretty simple. We just click on rename there, scrub out default, and we can call it, I don't know, let's call it my first RG. Click save, and there we go. It's actually changed the name of the resource group. So that's very quickly showing you your default resource group and actually changing the name of that. Next thing we're going to have a look at is very quickly the Cloud Foundry organisations. So basically the default one that's created for you will have be the email address or your IBM ID. So in this case it's james.ibmarchitect at gmail.com. Again, there's some actions here, so you can rename it. You can look at the spaces, the users, etc. in there. So let's go and so if we click on it, you can see the spaces that are in there. So as you can see, there's also a default space that's been created for you as well, which is called Dev, and that's in the region United Kingdom. So the reason for the space being created in the United Kingdom is because, of course, this is a Lite account. I can actually only create resources or Cloud Foundry services based in the United Kingdom because I've got a Lite account. So let's try and add a space to this. So it's fairly simple to do that, and I can add as many spaces as I like with a Lite account. However, I can only ever do it in the one region, so I'll have to stick with the United Kingdom for this. And to do this, it's really simple. So let's call this one test. So I just save, and within a couple of seconds, I've got my test space added. So there's a space there. So if I go back to Cloud Foundry orgs, if I actually try and create another organisation, then I can't because I've got a Lite account. So it says trial and Lite account, so limited to one Cloud Foundry org. So I'm offered the opportunity to upgrade there. So I'm going to just quickly cancel that. And similarly for resource groups as well, if I try and actually create a new resource group, then I'm reminded that because this is a Lite account, I can only have one resource group, so I can't actually create another resource group. So let's cancel that as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually upgrade this account. So I'm going to upgrade it to a PAYGO account. Now, what that will actually do is give me access to, obviously, to paid services because I'll be able to, pay with them on my credit card. I'll also get access to infrastructure. At the moment, I can't actually, with a Lite account, I can't actually create any virtual machines. I can't order bare metal servers. I can't do anything really that requires infrastructure. By upgrading, I can also use standard services, and I can also use services that are termed as free. So free services, again, I don't pay for them, but I can only access them if I have a pay-as-you-go account. Now, the other thing to remember with standard payment plans is that quite often they also have free tiers. So effectively, you can use them, but not actually pay anything towards them for a certain amount of usage. So again, those are open to you if you decide to upgrade your account. Now the rest of the videos, so for the rest of the videos, it's going to assume that we've got at least a PAYGO account. Now some of those will be fine if you decide to stick with a Lite account. Some of them will work because I'll be using Lite services. But I think, as I say, things like creating virtual machines, then you won't actually be able to do that with a Lite account. So I kind of recommend that you do at least switch to a pay-as-you-go account, and we'll look at options all the time for using services so that we don't actually incur any costs wherever possible. To upgrade an account, I need to click Manage and then go to Account. And what I can then do is go to Account Settings, and here you can see all bits and pieces about my account. By the way, this is quite good as well. If you want to change the name of the account, so as you can see, my account name at the moment is just James Belton's account. If I wanted to change that to something different, so for instance, I'm an organisation. I might have a company called I don't know, Beltech. Let's assume. What I can do is actually change the account name then, so I could delete that and put in Beltech, for instance, and save that. I'm not actually going to do that, but if you wanted to change the account name, you can do that there. Right, so what I'm going to do then is upgrade this account. So I'll click Add Credit Card. Now I'm going to put in my details. So I'm not actually going to do this on screen because obviously I don't want to, give you all my credit card number. But doing this is pretty simple. So there's some bits and pieces here again about continued access to Lite plans. You get some more free Cloud Foundry memory, which is great. You get access to all the free plans. You then get the ability to purchase infrastructure resources as well. this is quite cool as well. So you can get started with $200 credit. So if you're doing this for the first time, then you can actually use your account for the first $200, and you won't get charged anything because you got this credit. So that's great. So to do this, you just, as you say, fill out your details, put in your credit card information, say you accept the terms and conditions, and click next. So I'm going to pause the video there, and when I resume, I'll have put in my details, and we'll have an upgraded account. Okay, so I've just upgraded my account. That probably took all of 2.5 minutes to complete. So as you can see, my account type now is pay as you go. So what I'm going to do now is actually go and create my resource groups for my rules project. So here I am back in my resource groups screen. So I'm just going to click create here and create a new resource group. Now this is really simple. So I'm just going to call this rules dev. Click add. Create another one. So we'll call this rules test. And then just create a third one called rules prod. Okay, and that's pretty much it for creating the structures for my rules project. So if I then just go into Cloud Foundry, so I go and create our Cloud Foundry organization now. So I'm going to click create, and I'm going to call this let's call this rules project. Save that. There we are. So click on rules projects. Then all I'm going to do is add some spaces. So I'm going to so now you can see that I've got access to all the different regions. So what I can do is, so let's create dev in the United Kingdom. So let's call this rules dev. Let's create that in the United Kingdom. It'll just take a couple of minutes, a couple of moments, I should say. Let's add another space. So you wouldn't normally do this. So you normally create your spaces, I guess wherever your users tend to be. But just to show you, I create one in Sydney. So let's say rules test, and then lastly we'll create your rules prod in another region. But as I say, normally you might want to have all of your spaces in the same region. You may want to, if you're spreading resources around, or you're setting them up in for different reasons, and or for resilience, etc. You might want to spread them around into different regions. So let's go to rules prod. So there we go. So that's effectively the process for creating a new Cloud Foundry organization, and then creating spaces within them. So there we go. We can see now that we've got all of our spaces and our organisation set up. So our rules project organisation, and in our resource groups we've then got our resource groups listed as well. So that's great. So now now we're ready to roll with our project. The next thing you probably want to start doing is actually inviting users. So so these are the people that you want to, other developers, other administrators, for example, that you actually want to invite into the account so they can start using it and creating services and actually developing applications. And actually inviting users is really simple. So we're going to go through that process right now. So so the way to actually get to this screen, so as you can see at the moment, the only user on this account is me, the account owner. The way to get to this screen is to click Manage and then Access an IAM, and then click on Users over here. And it's really simple to actually invite a user. So all you need to do is click the Invite Users button, which takes you to this screen. So here you can actually invite one or more users. So if you invite more than one user, then the only thing to bear in mind is that they all get the same access rights, which may be good, may be fine. So so anyway, so to grant access to a user, the first thing you need to put in is their email address. So so I'm going to invite me again, but it'd be my corporate IBM account. So that's uk.ibm.com. So all I do is type in my email address. Now, because I already have an IBM ID assigned to this email address, I won't actually be asked to create another account, and I won't actually see any notification that I've been invited to this account. But if, for instance, I was a brand new user, I didn't have any IBM ID previously, then what will happen is that I would then get an email saying that so and so has introduced me to, has invited me to use their IBM Cloud account. Click here to sign up, create yourself an IBM ID, and get access to their account. Now, as I said, you can actually invite up to 100 users at a time. So to do that, you just need to put in as many email addresses here as you like. I think they can either be comma or they can be space separated. I'm just going to invite one for now. So then we actually decide what kind of access they need. So I'm going to give myself access to a resource group, and I'm going to give myself access to the default resource group for now. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to show you how access groups work in a moment. So, so the next thing I'm going to do is give myself, there we go. Let's give myself viewer rights to that particular group. So what I'm doing here basically is just giving me some kind of default access to nothing in particular, because all I can do is view whatever is in the default resource group. So then I'm going to scroll down, and you'll see here Cloud Foundry access. So Cloud Foundry obviously is a separate authentication layer. So you need to grant access to Cloud Foundry separately. So I'm going to just give myself access to. So I've got two organisations here. So I'm going to give myself this user access to the rules project. And I'm going to make them, let's say I'm going to make them a manager, and I can let them see all current regions and all current spaces, and then I'm going to give them a space role of, let's say, developer. So what I've done there is basically I've given them a manager role at the organisation level. So that means that they can actually manage the organisation itself and actually invite other users as well. So this is actually quite a powerful role that I've granted here. I can add other roles if I want to, but I'm not going to go that far. So in terms of regions, so I can choose whether or not it's just all of the regions, or whether I actually want to specify a region that they can do the management on. So and that actually relates to the spaces that we've created. I can grant access to all the current spaces, or because I've chosen all regions, it's defaulted to all current spaces. But if I choose a region, then it will give me the region that that particular space is in. So that space is actually in the Dallas region. So let me go back to all current regions. So it'll give me all current spaces. And then I can select a space role. So I'm going to select the developer space role. So now I can do developer type actions within that particular space. The next one is around infrastructure access. So at the moment I'm going to leave that as no access, but basically if I wanted to also grant this access user to use infrastructure, so let's say they're able to create servers. Let's say give it basic user access. So you can see what that gives people by default with the little ticks. So let's say they can view hardware, they can manage things. So these are the things that they can do and manage. These are network things they can do, so they can add IP addresses, etc., and services. So they can manage DNS and view certain things. So again, it's a case of just going through all that and picking what you actually need. I'm going to leave that as no access for the time being. Okay, so all I then need to do is click Invite Users. And it will just take a few seconds to whiz through. But there you go, I've actually successfully invited one user, so you can see that user is there. Okay, great. So what I'm now going to do is create an access group. So an access group is a way of assigning rights and privileges to a large number of people at once. So what happens is you create the group, you actually then assign the privileges to the group, and you then put users into the group. So let's create one, and hopefully you'll see what I mean. So there's no access groups on this account at the moment, so I'm going to click Create to create a new group. So I'm going to call this my object storage my object storage user group. And what I've actually done in the background is I've actually created an object storage service. So what's going to happen is this access group is going to have access to the object storage, and the users therefore will have access to the object storage. So, so I'm going to say this access group gives access to object storage. So again, it's just good to get into a good habit of having a bit of a naming convention, but also describing stuff so that you know what it is when you've obviously created it. So the group has been created. I can then add users to the group. So let's add the user to start with. So the only user that I'm going to add is the one that I've just created. So jamesbelknott.uk.ibm.com. This user has access to everything anyway because it's the owner. So I'll just tick the box there to grant the access, and then click Add to Group. And the next thing I need to do is actually grant an access policy. So if I click here, I can then assign access. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually assign access to a resource. So I'm going to click here. So I need to select the type or select a service. So the service I'm going to grant access to is Cloud Object Storage. And I can choose to give it access to all service instances. But what I've actually done is create an instance. So I'm going to grant access to a specific instance, and this is where you can start to see the granularity as well of IAM. I'm going to leave these two boxes blank, and what I'm then going to do is just grant this platform role of viewer, and then I'm going to grant a service role of writer. So what this will then allow any user in this group to do is actually see the service from a platform point of view, but also write to the service from a service access point of view. If I just gave them reader, then that means they'd be able to see the group, but they wouldn't actually be able, and they'd be able to read what was in there, but they wouldn't actually be able to write any new files to the object storage. So I'm going to leave that as writer, and I'm going to click assign. So I'll just take a couple of moments. So there you go. You can now see that that's actually been assigned. So that's basically using creating an objects group or an access group rather, and then granting some policy to it and adding a user. So it's dead simple. So the next thing that we're going to that I'm going to quickly show you is a few of the billing screens, because people always want to have a look at these within the the first 45 minutes or so to just get a feeling for where they are and how to use them. So we click Manage, and then we click Billing and Usage. So so here we go. So this is the billing and usage screen, and as you can see, there's different boxes, and these are pretty much replicated in the in the menu down here. So if we click on usage, then what you can see is the actual usage that's occurred in this account so far. And at the moment, you can see, well, there isn't really any usage because I've not actually created any services yet. So these pretty much relate to the object storage service that I created. But as you can see, it's on free tier, so I've not actually incurred any costs. You can see that I've got an active credit, so this is the credit that I got when I upgraded my account. So I've still got £160 of that to use, and I've effectively got well, it looks like I've got until the end of 1969 to use that. So that will be so because that's a date in the past, then effectively I can use it until it disappears. Now, if I want to, I can change the time frame on this. So because I created this account in January, I can only see January usage, obviously, but the older the account gets, then obviously the more months that you'll see down here. And in terms of group, then I can actually see usage per different resource groups or Cloud Foundry org as well. So this can be really useful where you want to sort of start looking at usage and billing per project. So that's the whole reason for setting up an account structure. So that's where you would actually do this. Now again, because there's not actually been any usage in this account, there's not an awful lot to look at. But once there is usage in there, then you can quite easily use these check buttons to actually see how much usage there's been in a particular organisation or resource group. So that's really useful. Just take the check off there. Okay. So then scrolling down here, you can see things that billing items. So what are the things that you're actually being billed for, and how much you're being billed for. So we'll just let that screen refresh. And because this is a new account, there's obviously nothing in there to see. You can then see all the payments that you've made. So you actually need to go through to IBM.com, but again, it's fairly simple to do that. Just click the view there, and you can then go to see your payments. But again, because it's a new account, there won't be much to see. From invoices, you can quickly see what invoices you've got. So from here, you can see that. Let's just let the screen load. So you can see that there's various balances on here, but again, it's all zero because I've not used anything that has incurred any charges. It just tells me when my next invoice is as well, so that'll be the beginning of February. And again, that'll be the date that all my service is reset as well. So if I've used up a certain amount of free tier, then that'll reset and I'll get that allowance back again. If you actually want to download or email your invoice, then you can click on this box here and get that sent to you. Probably the subscription. So if you decide that you want to get a subscription, so a subscription is a service above pay-as-you-go. So you actually commit to pay a certain amount a month, and if you do that, then you get a much larger discount. So if you're a large organisation and your cloud usage is likely to be quite significant, then it's always better value to actually buy a subscription. So if you're interested in that, click the button and contact the IBM sales department. Sales here, so these are where you're actually creating quotes and upgrades, etc. I'll go into that another time. Now this one's quite interesting. It's spending notifications. So the idea of this is that if you have your account, you may want to know when you're starting to get to a certain spending, so you don't get a nasty surprise that the end of the month comes and you suddenly get a huge bill that you weren't expecting. So what happens with this is you can actually set a limit or a notification point. So these are all currently set to £100 in my case. So we can set these down. So I'm going to set these down to £10 each. So what will then happen is when we get to within 80, 90 and 100% of this threshold, I will actually get emails sent to me as the account holder to let me know that I'm reaching that level. So I can then look at that and go, well, okay, that's fine, I'm expecting it. Or I can say, well, gosh, let's shut that service down because I'm not using it and it's costing me money. Or I can take some other action. Now the thing to remember is that if it does actually hit the spending notification limit, the service won't stop. It will carry on running and it will carry on incurring costs. But the bottom line here really is that at least you've got a notification, so that if you are running to a bit of a budget and you don't want to go over a certain amount of spend, then at least you can get a notification that you're getting close and that you've reached the threshold. So all you need to do there, as I say, is just set up the appropriate number in here, and then just click these boxes to get the email sent to you, and then just click save to save the notifications. So that's done. So if we get near those thresholds, I'll start to get notifications through my emails. Okay, so that's it for the lab. It's quite a long one, so just a quick recap as to what we did. So the first thing we did was actually log in. We changed the default resource group name. We changed the default organisation name. We then added a space, and we ended the first part of it. It was actually upgrading the account. So you didn't actually see me do it, but I put my credit card details into the account, and I upgraded from a Lite account to a PAYGO account. I then logged back in as a pay-as-you-go account to cloud.ibm.com, and I then set up IM for the rules project. So I created a rules dev resource group, a rules test resource group, and a rules prod resource group. I then set up Cloud Foundry for the rules project. So I created a rules organisation and then a dev, test, and prod space. And after doing that, I then went through inviting the first user. I created an access group and assigned some rights to the access group, and then assigned a user to the access group. so that they could then access some cloud object storage that I created. And we then checked out some billing screens. So and in particular we looked at some of the payment notifications. So don't forget that the IBM Cloud Console is now at cloud.ibm.com. If previously you've been using, for instance, console.bluemix.net, that's actually going away. The plan at the moment is that will probably disappear towards the end of January or February 2019. So if you're not already, it's best to start using cloud.ibm.com. Effectively, it's a far more integrated and a far quicker interface as well. So that's about it for this video. So thanks very much for watching. I hope that's been useful, and we'll see you next time.